You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
But we have younger guys that are stepping up, and then of course all those juniors are now seniors. You have a lot of experience out there, a lot of guys who have been down the road and kind of keep things together when with older lineups.
The council is now in session.
With a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Todd Schumacher, head boys basketball coach at Columbia Burbank High School.
And what year is this for you?
This is my 12th season with the boys basketball at Burbank.
And I know we've already went through the story, but I find the Schumacher lineage, if you will say, just so pertinent to the Tri-Cities. So kind of walk that through me. I know even when I was setting up today's, I accidentally texted your brother, and he's like, "Oh, wrong brother."
Yeah. Yes, our dad coached at Kamiakin for many years, had a lot of success there. Eventually became the athletic director as he ended his career in teaching and education, and then Lane took over the girls program about 12 years ago as well, and they've had a lot of success as well. So we've been in the Tri-Cities for about 30 plus years, and I guess you could say a lineage, I don't know, but definitely a basketball family.
Exactly, and that's something I love learning, is because everything kind of runs together. You remember different things, or it's I guess it gets built upon. So it's just all part of the story of athletics in the Tri-Cities. And in your mind, what's the biggest thing that's changed in your time in the Tri-Cities, being so involved in the athletics?
Yeah, the Tri-Cities has grown a ton since we've been here, and obviously we're out in Burbank, which is a little smaller community, and but it's all kind of grown together as one. And the Tri-Cities adding a few new high schools, change in conferences. Since I grew up, it used to be in the Big Nine. Everybody used to travel an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of games, and now you look at the MCC, it's all, they're across town and in the same city, and so that's changed a lot, and probably in some ways better and in some ways not. I mean, you lost some of that getting on a bus and experiencing true road games, and everything now being in the Tri-Cities for those bigger schools changed that a little bit. But in Burbank, we still have our bus trips, and there's a lot of bonding, a lot of memories that go in on those road trips. So we don't love the 3-hour trips per se, but it does bring a team together.
Yeah, so Burbank is more like what it used to be, old school in the big city.
Yeah, definitely. We're still old school. We still get on a yellow bus, and the whole town kind of shuts down and heads out with us, and it's a neat thing.
Yeah, and what high school did you play at?
I played at Kamiakin as well.
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
Yeah, my brothers played for my dad as well there, so still have a lot of memories and a lot of, we follow Kamiakin obviously with my brother being there, but even just being, I have nephews and nieces that play there and come through there, so I'm there quite a bit as well watching.
Yeah, and you have a lot of family at Burbank too, so we'll get into that. But right now, Burbank boys basketball, you guys were runner-up in the state championship game last year. I think that was the last time I saw you was in Spokane last year. How did it feel to have such a good season? I mean, getting second in state, that's pretty good, but it doesn't always feel like that following the game.
Yeah, definitely undefeated season. Felt like we had a great season, and then you get to that state championship game. We didn't have our best performance and played a great team. It was also undefeated.
Yeah.
In fact, it was pretty rare to have so many undefeated teams in the Final Four. I think there were 3 undefeated teams in the Final Four, and so a lot of good teams last season came together, and we ended up finishing second. Still an excellent season. Obviously, you look back and you wish you would have brought home that gold ball, but a lot of guys back this year and a lot of experience being down that road a few years now in Spokane for the state tournament, and obviously still a goal that we want to achieve.
So it basically just kind of makes your team even more hungrier this year, because different people walk away with different feelings at the end of the year, but you guys only losing one senior and Elijah Kinsley, you basically bring back most of the core.
Yeah, we bring back everybody except Elijah, who was a huge piece of our puzzle. But we have younger guys that are stepping up, and then of course all those juniors are now seniors, which having a senior dominant team, just you have a lot of experience out there, a lot of guys who have been down the road and kind of keep things together with older lineups.
Sometimes in the games where you said in Spokane, and I'm lucky enough to have witnessed it firsthand being at the Spokane tournament last year, where you say, oh, we didn't have our best game, when you talk about being a junior to a senior, that sometimes in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I'm just a junior, but it's kind of now or never for those seniors.
Right. I think when you're younger, you always think, well, I've got another year. This isn't the end of the road, Now we have so many seniors that all these experiences today in the Sundome, these are, they've been here 4 times. This is their 4th time playing in this event, and it's a neat event, and you play on a big venue and play teams that you don't see. And so, yeah, for a lot of guys, this is kind of our last go round for this.
And let's go through some of the players on the team. Let's start with your starting 5. We'll start with the big guys between Quincy Scott and Tristan Fremont. What do they bring? I guess just kind of talk about them for your team too. Big pieces of the squad. Yeah,
Quincy and Tristan have been big pieces really since their freshman year. I mean, they made a big splash on our team, in the league, and the state really, and they've continued that. Now they're just older, more mature, playing together for 3 or 4 years now. They kind of know what the other's doing, and physically they have gotten bigger and stronger and developed their game as well. But those two really make things go for us. Of course, we have a bunch of other good players, but those two are very dynamic and explosive players, and make others better, which is it's a compliment. If you can make the others on the team better, that's kind of the ultimate compliment.
And what strides would you say, or what improvements to their game would you say those two have made from last year to this year, whether it be on the court or even in the locker room, being a good teammate?
Yeah, being leaders on the team, in the locker room and outside, being able to get somebody else a shot, or get somebody else, set somebody else up, when maybe a few years ago they might have been a little bit more trying to just go down the path of trying to do it themselves. Now they realize, hey, we got to get our teammates involved and share that responsibility, and it's actually made them and us better by doing that. So they've really grown up in that aspect.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the case, because again, I'm not in your guys' head, but I think you could feel that when you're watching the games where they maybe weren't shooting their best, and I felt like they kind of felt like they had to make their shots for Burbank to be able to see success, which was then they were feeling that pressure rather than being loose and shooting loose. So I felt like it came out in that specific way last year.
Yeah, and some of the tighter games or the more difficult situations, sometimes you try to do it yourself, and you put you think you're doing the right thing by trying harder or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes it's better to take a step back and let someone else do it. And I think we've come to that this year, as far as all the eyes are on them. So sometimes you got to give it to the guy that's in the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, and then have other guys be able to contribute too if sometimes you're just not having a good game shooting. So with those two, talking about Tristan, Quincy, let's go over the other the starting five for Burbank boys basketball.
So Caden Ross, another good point guard, off guard, shooting guard for us. He's been great for us. He started for us the last 3 years, and he's back. And ironically, another left-hander. So we have Quincy's a lefty, we got Caden's a lefty, and he's a great outside shooter. And same thing, he's developed and understood, the dynamics of a team. We've got a lot of talent, so everyone kind of has to share that space. Brandon Leahy is kind of slid into Elijah Kinsey's spot, and he's a lefty. So we have 3 lefties that start. That's pretty uncommon. And he's done a really nice job of going from a backup role last year to really having some great games for us this year and bringing that energy that Elijah brought, rebounding, putbacks, defending. And then Crew Pereira has started for a few years for us as well. He's kind of the energizer bunny, flies, he never gets tired, undersized but plays big. And so, yeah, all 5 of those starters, and all 5 are seniors who've kind of been down this road. So we have a lot of expectations of ourselves, but I think it's a good thing when you've gone down that road that we should expect a lot of ourselves and, try to make that next step the right way.
Pop into 2025 with Krispy Kreme. Yes, Krispy Kreme has teamed with Pop-Tarts to bring you our Pop-Tart collection. Come grab a dozen of your favorite donuts flavored as your favorite Pop-Tarts January 6th through 21st. While in store, ask how you could earn free donuts with the Krispy Kreme app. And we still have openings for your fundraisers. A great way to support your team, church, or other nonprofit. All at your local Krispy Kreme. 2805 Dupertail Street in Richmond. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
Funny to think that up until the championship game last year, you guys were undefeated.
Yeah. You forget all these tough games we played in the Sun Dome and preseason games all over, and then you remember that last game in the arena, and you feel like it could have been more, but yeah.
Yeah, and so the starting 5, all seniors for Burbank boys basketball, runner-up last year. Let's talk about some of the key players off of the bench for Burbank.
Okay, so Braxton Couch is really physically and literally grown. He's up to 6'10" now.
Oh, wow.
And his freshman year he was about 6'4". He's just developing. He's just played basketball for 4 or 5 years, so he's really much improved from even a year ago. And he comes off the bench in that center position for us, kind of backing up Leahy. And he brings a lot of size. He's athletic. So he's been a nice addition. He was with us last year, but he's really improved his game to be able to come out and make a difference in the game and impact the game. Mason Schumacher has been in this role, kind of coming off the bench for a few years, and he gives us a lot of outside shooting. His perimeter touch has really helped spread the floor for other players, and ball handling, that sort of thing. And then Gavin Kinzer is a senior, another guard coming off the bench, and again gives us hustle, scrappy minutes and can shoot the ball as well. So those three are kind of the main three that come off the bench for us. Two of them, Gavin and Braxton, are seniors, and which, again, so a lot of seniors out of that top 8 that play a lot.
Yeah, and then on the roster, I kind of talked about it earlier about there being family inside Burbank. You have 2 sons on the team now.
Yeah. Brody, a freshman, my middle son. So Mason's a junior and Brody's a freshman, and he comes off the bench as well for us. And again, a good guard that can help us off the bench. And experience-wise, obviously a freshman, so limited there. But this is what's nice about having a senior-heavy team, is that these guys don't have to play the big roles, the big minutes. They can kind of learn and watch what the seniors are doing out there and take that when they get on the court and use that to their advantage as far as the experience, and then the experience every day in practice. You know, our younger guys get so much better playing against this varsity team every day.
Yeah. And what's it like for you just being able to coach 2 of your sons every day?
It's nice. It's you always kind of wonder how it's going to be, and coaching so many other kids over the years, so many other parents' kids, and then all of a sudden you're coaching your own. And it's a neat thing. And of course, it's a small town, small school, so they're all kind of brothers, they're all kind of family. So that part's a neat thing. They're always at the house, at my house. So it's not just my own Brody and Mason, but the other kids are considered sons as well.
Yeah, and with your job, maybe not getting a big Christmas break or New Year's break that you just had, it's not just you, it's a family occasion now.
Yeah, it's a family occasion for sure. Yeah, it's we don't get much time off during the winter with basketball, but kind of never had it my whole life with my dad being a coach, and so it's normal. But I know probably not too normal for everybody. If you're outside of basketball, it probably is a strange thing. Yeah.
Again, we're catching up with Todd Schumacher of Burbank boys basketball. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Inconveniences can happen at, well, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Pop into 2025 with Krispy Kreme. Yes, Krispy Kreme has teamed with Pop-Tarts to bring you our Pop-Tart collection. Come grab a dozen of your favorite donuts flavored as your favorite Pop-Tarts January 6th through 21st. While in store, ask how you could earn free donuts with the Krispy Kreme app. And we still have openings for your fundraisers. A great way to support your team, church, or other nonprofit. All at your local Krispy Kreme. 2805 Dupertail Street in Richmond. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
We're back on the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. Catching up with Todd Schumacher, head coach for Burbank boys basketball, runner-up last year in state in 2B. In 2B, what are the teams to keep an eye on? Obviously, you guys only losing one senior. Everybody's keeping their eyes on you. Colfax are the defending state champions. So what does 2B basketball look like, at least early on in the season? Anything can happen a couple months down the road.
Sure, yeah. Early on, I think a lot of this, you'll see a lot of similar names. Colfax is right back up there. We played them last week, and they're a state contender again, right? They return a ton of talent. And the nice thing is we've played a lot of these teams early, so we're kind of getting it both. I guess it goes both ways, but they're able to see each other. So Colfax, Freeman is a new addition to 2B. They came from 1A.
Yeah.
Very good program and talented roster. We played them at their place early on, and that was a really hard-fought game that either team could have won. We ended up pulling it out up there. Northwest Christian, again, we played them up there, and they've got a lot of talent. So those three, I think Reardon is really having a great season. It's early, but they look like they're going to be a team that's going to be pushing for not only Spokane, but making some noise in the state tournament. They've got a great team and a good chemistry going right now. Tri-Cities Prep out of our league, I think it's their best team they've had since I've been here, and they only have the one loss at our place, and they have pretty much their whole roster back, kind of similar to us. They return a lot of guys. So that's going to be a team to keep an eye on. And then on the up north, you have Okanagan and Liberty Bell, and there's talent all around, especially this east side this year. A lot of talent on the east side. I know a little bit about the west, but some of those same teams, Napa Vines, the Adnas, that we see, it seems like in Spokane every year.
Yeah. And I feel like in these small schools, you have so many athletes that play multiple sports. So you take a look at football, and it was the Okanagans, and like they're all the same team. So you know if that they're those good of athletes on the football field. Usually it doesn't always, but a lot of times it does translate into basketball season.
Right. Those athletes, it carries over, and if they're athletic on the football field, they're gonna carry over on the basketball court, especially as the year progresses. So you see some of these teams that went deep in football. December might be kind of a clunky month for them, and all of a sudden January and February starts rolling around, they get scary. So I would expect to see that from teams that went deep in football.
Yeah, and then in the UAC, you bring up a really interesting point. Tri-Cities Prep has always been nipping at your guys' heels. And then you take a look at other sports. Prep had a great football team, and it's just kind of fun to see teams go up and down and just that competitive nature in your conference. What have you seen in your conference on the basketball court?
Yeah, I think, like I said, Tri-Cities Prep, and we have both been at the top for a handful of years. Mabton, I think, is going to be kind of a sleeper team that's coming up. That's been maybe not at the top the last few years, but they've got a nice team. They're well coached, and they play really hard. They're right in that mix. We added LaSalle from Yakima from the 1As. They came to our league, and we played them early on, and they've got a lot of potential, a lot of talent. So there'll be some teams that, again, as January and February rolls around, that I think are going to make some noise that maybe haven't been in our window of state tournament the last few years.
Yeah. And what's the farthest you guys? I'm trying to think, and all the conferences sometimes get mixed up. What's the farthest travel team that you guys have in your conference?
In our conference, so we're split in divisions. So if you were to take both divisions, we go from Goldendale way down on the border of Oregon, all the way to Cle Elum and in the pass. And then we're kind of the furthest east, Burbank out in Walla Walla County. So pretty spread, and then you got your Wardens and your Kittitas. So one of the bigger conferences really in the state as far as getting on a bus, and going, sometimes you can run into some weather and that sort of thing. So
exactly. I didn't really think about that until you had brought it up in last segment of a conference that truly does travel.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not always on interstates. We sometimes, some of those roads are bumpy and windy, and especially during the winter, it can get dicey.
Yeah. And Burbank in general is a school that really supports their athletics and really builds up their athletics, or puts a lot of, care into it, that people show up to the football games, show up to the basketball games, and then it translates to having good teams put together. Mentioned it multiple times, runner-up for state last year for you guys. The football team, has made a run in years past. And then this year for basketball, you guys are a 2B, and you have 3 teams. That's that's a lot of student athletes for such a small school.
Yeah, we've always had 3 teams. Sometimes they've been a little smaller, maybe at the C team. But this year we had over 40 kids come out, which is huge when we only have about, roughly 100 boys in the school. So about half of the boys' population came out for basketball, which is a neat thing. It just shows the excitement around the program. It shows you all levels from freshmen all the way up to senior. We have 8 seniors in the program. So it's neat to see the younger kids and the older kids kind of bring that excitement and, to want to be a part of something. And I think that's a credit to the teams that have come before these guys that it's passed it down to like, hey, I want to be a part of that. So it's neat to have those kind of numbers.
And set the expectation when they're young.
Yeah, that's right.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly.
And so early on in the season, 2025 just started. What are you guys working on the most now this early in the season?
Well, at this time of the season, we're really trying to work on, improving the little things, the details that maybe you don't see. You might have got the win in the win column, but really, if you break down the film, we could do things better, whether it's the blocking out or taking care of the basketball or making the extra pass. So some of those things that don't show up in the stats, maybe, the chemistry of the team, that's what we're really working on January, February, trying to go into the postseason with our best foot forward.
And I think it's safe to say that when we talk about goals, your goal is for us to be having this conversation with a state championship trophy in your hands.
Yeah, I think that's, like I said, with returning so many seniors, they've been down this road. I think that's everybody's goal in our program is it'd be great to have that, bring that gold ball back to Burbank for the first time. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Well, that wrap up this week's show of the Sports Council. Thank you for joining me on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. A reminder, the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, 11:30 a.m. on Thursdays. But you can listen to this show not just over the airwaves at 11:30 on Thursdays, but also on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council. And it's also available via YouTube. So lots of ways to listen to the Sports Council and support our local sports community. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports programming.